Hello? Wait, did it not play the intro? I'm so
It did
confused
not.
now.
We're live.
Why
live,
did it
pal.
not play the intro? We are super live. Welcome, everybody. What's going on, everybody? It's Saturday, August 2nd. Welcome to another edition of today's daily broadcast. I'm not sure what happened technologically here as far as the intro is concerned, but we're totally live, and I've got a sweet crew riding with me. We're also going to break down SmackDown. It's SummerSlam, first two-night SummerSlam this week. No doubt about that. Let me introduce my cast to you, though, really quickly. First and foremost, I'm going to keep this one in the continental United States really quickly here. Send this one to Texas. Ignacio, good to have you. How are you? And I know you have some words about the late, great Hulk Hogan.
I'm doing good, man. A little somber because, like you said, I know it just seems like whenever these things happen, I'm out of the loop because I'm busy or something comes up, and I don't really get an opportunity to speak about the whatever happens. But Ben said, I can go ahead and say a little bit about Hulk Hogan. I'll just take a couple of minutes, and I really don't have really anything to say that's already been said. I mean, you all did a great job last week with the gentleman from a huge pop radio show and podcast, Corderis and De Silva, and who knows more than anybody than Jimmy Corderis, who actually shared a locker room or two with Hulk in the past. But what a legend! And WrestleMania 3 was the launching pad for, I believe, what sports entertainment is today. It made WrestleMania a household name, and it made WrestleMania the brand. I think that moment with Hogan slamming Andre. And, I don't know if I'm one of the most senior members here of Wrestling Republic. I think, right, Cart? Am I the most senior or
up there? I don't think quite the most senior, but definitely up there.
Okay. All right. Well, I was introduced to Hogan in '89. That's when I became a wrestling fan, very early January of '89. And, when you become a wrestling fan, at least at that age or that early, once you become a wrestling fan, you started asking your parents every weekend to take you to the video store and rent all the VHSs. And that's what I did. And that's where I became more introduced with Hulk Hogan. But I took it kind of hard, because I've met Hulk 3 times. The third time I actually was able to have like a conversation with him, like a quick 5-minute conversation. I'm not saying I became best friends or anything, but Hulk just came off as very, very gracious, and he legitimately loves his wrestling fans, and gave time to everybody on every meet and greet I went to, and extremely gracious and courteous, and what a gentleman. And given things that have been said here on the show and other shows and other podcasts and stuff, but I'm not ashamed to say that I love Hulk Hogan. And I do love Hulk Hogan. I think he was a great icon in wrestling business. I think he was a great person. Far be it for me to judge anybody who's made 1, 2, or 3 mistakes in their life, especially when they were under the influence of alcohol or drugs or whatever. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because when I talk about Hulk Hogan, I focus.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful tribute, Ignacio, for sure. I do want to introduce our next co-host here this afternoon at WR. I'm going to send it across the pond. We've got the host of the Soul Sessions, the man, the myth, the legend, the other Scottish warrior, as I like to call him. Soul, how are you?
It's too bloody bright here, man. I need to have glasses for this. What's going on with the polls right now? But nonetheless, it's a very interesting edition of SmackDown. Happened, well, technically last night at this point. An odd one. In my personal opinion, I thought it was an odd show. Didn't feel like a go-home show. It was just a show. But I mean, then again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. But there are some very critical things I think we have to get into, especially with this first topic, because what is going on? Clark, take us. What is going on here?
What in the wide world of sports are we watching? I'm with you. We're gonna talk about it. No doubt. It's good to have you, Soul. Somewhere down the line, we got to figure out what happened with that intro there. That is mind numbing. That's one of the best intros in all of podcasting, broadcasting, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm just saying, I feel like we robbed the fan base, but neither here nor there. One thing we won't rob you of is the SmackDown review. Let's talk about something out of this world. Like Soul mentioned, what are we doing here? I'm not sure, though. I didn't love this because there was just enough tongue in cheek from John Cena. There was just enough slime. There was just enough, why would I? There was just enough references to WWE Unreal, recently released on Netflix, if you haven't checked it out. There was just enough of that for me to believe nothing he said is true. And that is my personal stance on the subject. I believe John Cena is still the heel in all of this. I believe John Cena is sticking with his guns. You know my opinions on Cody Rhodes. It's not necessarily about that, but Soul, I am going to start with you on this one. What were your thoughts on the back and forth, the promo, all of it, and what we're going to see on Sunday night in this one?
Okay, right. John Cena as a heel is not a terrible decision, right? If you look at his heel run now, a lot of people are going to say it's trash, it's terrible, it's just bad, right? I wouldn't say that. Disappointing is the main word I would say for this heel run, because it could have been more, but it feels like it's been holding back. Obviously, we've seen it with limit dates, the amount of PLEs being so close together, and everything has a real long-term build. But the main thing about this that is just so disappointing is that it feels like there's two people missing from it. Obviously, it's The Rock and Travis Scott. Sadly, I don't care about Travis Scott. If you do, good for you. Because it has been built around about these whole three. You know, Elimination Chamber, when it happened, they produced the Tops card that, you know, had on the back of it like this new Hollywood trio, and, you know, they're building as it. And even Travis Scott got involved in the 41 main event. So sadly, no matter which way about it, they're integral parts of it. And obviously, The Rock has said in the Pat McAfee show the day after 41 on the Sunday, I believe it was, or it might have been the Tuesday after Raw, that like he was never meant to be anywhere else after it. And we see from the Unreal show that it was meant to be something that The Rock and his special writer, he has one special writer that propped up of, hey, maybe we do it's Cena heel because, you know, Elimination Chamber wasn't selling well. We have to bring in The Rock to boost numbers. It's just a disappointing heel turn and a disappointing championship reign. You know, when you have this as your main centerpiece story, it should be given all the focus, all the whistles and all that, all the bells, should be given everything, right? And it doesn't feel like it has. But what happened on SmackDown last night, like if Cody Rhodes goes into this match and then Cena does a low blow again and tongue in cheek, like you believed me, then Cody Rhodes is one of the most stupidest idiots in all of wrestling. Like, why would you believe him? Because of one little promo when for the past couple of months he's beating up R-Truth to then get fired and then beat him up again. He then does this whole malarkey with CM Punk at Night of Champions, the thing with Randy Orton, the tag match of Money in the Bank. So it's like, why are you believing him just because he tells you one little sob story in the ring?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Like, if this is, you know, to do a double turn at SummerSlam on Sunday, like, then again, what's the point? Because Cody Rhodes is going to go away to film the Street Fighter movie, so you're going to lose your main champion for a month or a bit. So why do a double turn for something you're going to have to wait a month and a bit to get the satisfaction of? Look, I think they'll put on an all right match. I know people have complaints with their matches at WrestleMania. I think it'll be fine, but I've got no investment of Cena or Cody right now. In fact,
So I hear where you're coming from on a lot of what you said, especially about when it comes to it got a little bit, and I think part of that is like, I don't want to say stale, but like part of that is the amount of dates booked provides a level of predictability, right? It's already announced. We know when he's going to show up and when he's not. There's no surprise. They hit the da, 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 right? That's not going to happen. We already know he's coming every single time he's going to be there. And I think that makes a lot of sense. For me, though, I don't think this is a double turn That's where I'm like, I don't believe it's a double turn. I believe, to your earlier point about it potentially not being the hottest heel run yet, the hottest heel run we could have asked for out of Cena, I think this is more of a like, okay, cool, we'll take it away for a second, and then we're gonna give it really big back.
That
And
doesn't
get the
that
big
in my
boost
personal
because
opinion,
the crowd was cheering.
it doesn't. Yeah, if you're cheering, you're not a good heel. Like if
Right.
your job as a heel
And that's
is to
where I
be
think
a bad
it's
guy,
the pump
right?
fake. It's the
Here's the thing.
like,
Here's the thing, right? Heels in modern wrestling aren't really good. MJF isn't a good heel. Cena's not a good heel. Gunther's not a good heel. There's very, very few actual real good terminology of the definition of heel because everybody
Yes.
loves the anti-hero. Everybody, if Cena is still getting chanted and loved and adored when he was this heel and now he's a babyface again, then was he really a good heel to begin with? No,
Fair.
he wasn't. He wasn't at the end of the day.
Let me run through
is a
some comments
terrible
really
heel.
quick, Soul, though. I hear where you're coming from there. Let me run through some comments real quick. We got Happy SummerSlam Saturday, WR crew from Fernando Zayas, friends of the show. We got What Up, Angie Diva, newest addition to the team. Tom Cruise is a new subscriber, so I think that's a big one for us. Shout out Mission Impossible, no doubt about that. Happy SummerSlam Day, Part 1, Wrestling Republic from Numero 1 Superfly. Also, Fernando was really pumped for the intro. See, shoot, we needed to get that figured out. I will say this, though. Donnie De Silva is here in the comments. He said, I don't think Cena's turn or reign has been disappointing in the least. I think that's, to each their own. We all have our own opinions on it. And he said, saying Gunther isn't a good heel is crazy. That's a debate for a different show as well. And he also added, it's so funny to read how people think Cena's promo was an admission that the angle flopped, and then they just undid it. I am in agreement with Donnie on that part of it.
Well,
I think it was a tongue-in-cheek in that regard, but I do have to ask Ignacio about it, for sure. So Ignacio, your thoughts on the Cena turn, fake turn, pump fake? Is it real? Is he a heel? Is he the good guy? Why is Cody Rhodes no longer wearing suits? Is that something we should be aware of? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, only you, Clark, pay attention to those minute details. But yeah, it's a hoax. But I mean, the interesting. This was the most interesting part of the show, by the way, and it's all downhill from here. And this is probably the laziest book SummerSlam in a very long time. I want to add that. Like, I think we're in for we could be in for like a real big shit show tonight and going into tomorrow. This is the highlight, though. This, it's interesting because yes, I think it's a hoax, but how are we going to get there and what's going to happen? That's what's kept this feud interesting and what's kept John Cena's heel turn interesting. And you know what the amazing thing is because like the people there in the arena, like they believed it. They believed that John Cena turned back to babyface. You can tell, like it was in their heart. They believed it when it's all BS. But how are we going to get there? That's the interesting part. I don't think John Cena's heel run has been bad. I think he's done very good. I think they could do more, or they could have done more. Like I would have went like, John Cena didn't change his appearance. He didn't change his costuming. He didn't change anything. He goes with the black screen that just says John Cena John Cena on it. I would have taken away the entrance music. I would have went a step further and been plain Jane, heel John Cena. But this is going to be the most interesting feud and thing on the show. The thing is that you can't do street fights or anything like that anymore because they're not going to have blood or it's just that when they have how many street fights do we have on the show or variations of it? 4, 5, 3, 4 or whatever. It's not going to be a blood match. You can't really do these matches anymore because they don't really work. I mean, they might take it to consideration because Cody's involved, and if there's any bloodshed, it's Cody that does it. But I hate to make the comparison, but along with my Hulk Hogan monologue, I was watching old matches of his, and I watched the match with him and Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 19, and they beat the shit out of each other. And that's not going to happen tonight. They're not going to have the match that Hogan and McMahon had at WrestleMania 19, the street fight they had at WrestleMania 19. So if they're not going to have that kind of match, then why have the match? Why have a street fight?
I mean,
have something else.
I think something more violent would just be them playing Monopoly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I will say this. Let me step in for 1 second. I found something really interesting last night. And back to my clothes theories here. John Cena showed up in New York Jets gear, not New York Giants gear. Headed to MetLife Stadium, the less successful of the two franchises. And I think that was a tease for what we're going to see. I'll say this. Fernando Zayas in the comments said, agree 100%. This has been a very lazy book. SummerSlam, shaking my head. But Donnie DeSilva said, what do you mean they won't have blood? WWE's had blood on PLE this year in matches that demand it. That's false. He also added, based on what I already know and what I'm expecting, this SummerSlam is going to be very, very good. Literally one of the best. I imagine the only reason that we've gotten to a point like this is a giant surprise. That's my personal thoughts. They have to pull something out of the bullpen, something out of left field, something different out for this street fight, whether it works its way around MetLife Stadium, which is big. You've got wide concourses and a lot of area to film stuff. No matter how you do this, or it's a name, whether it's The Rock or it's R-Truth, as has been mentioned before, it's something like that. There is a surprise, I think, in store for this main event. The other thing is, the rest of the card is pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. Gunther and Punk is going to be solid. The TLC match is going to be off the charts. These women's matches, I think, are going to deliver in a way that we aren't anticipating. But let's stick with our SmackDown review. Let's move on to our next segment. Let's talk about Julia retaining the United States title against Zelina Vega. There's been some big teases lately about Zelina Vega's character slightly changing. This may be the start. We obviously saw her real-life husband, Aleister Black, later in the night against Damian Priest, throw a chair at his face. Maybe some sort of partnership there, something like that. I'm not totally sure. Soul, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts on Julia's match last night, which I thought was a really solid bell-to-bell match against Zelina Vega, her U.S. title reign, and what we're going to see from here?
Oh, God. Tell you what, Clark, you ain't wrong. The match was actually all right. I was genuinely surprised. I was like, oh my God, this is actually all right. I'm actually kind of surprised. You know, this is actually a great SummerSlam match. And then I had to remind myself, oh, wait, this is the SmackDown before SummerSlam. Because this championship just can't get on that card for some reason. We can have Sammy Cross and that on that match on SummerSlam. Why is that stupid match on SummerSlam? And this ain't when it's one of your championships that everybody demanded and wanted, and now it's just thrown in like an afterthought, like the Speed Championships. Here's the thing, right? I know Ben Allison and David Sheldon. I remember when Julia was getting all this buzz, and they were in the chat like, Julia, she's amazing. She's going to revolutionize everything. She's one of the biggest stars. And when she goes to WWE, she's going to prove it. And then, you know what? I was in that mindset like, okay, I mean, what's her history? Oh, New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Okay, cool. She might be really good. And I tell you what, in NXT, I felt I was proven wrong. I felt like Julia was amazing. I felt she had that star presence. And then she won the NXT Women's Championship. And I was like, okay, here, we're on the breaks. We're on to go. And then she did the double championship with Stephanie Vaquera and dropped it immediately and has felt off. I ain't going to lie. Personal opinion here. I don't think she's in the right company. I don't. I think she should be in somewhere like AEW or going to Stardom or heck, even TNA at this point. I don't think she's in the right company because at the end of the day, WWE is an entertainment company, not the wrestling company. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. And the fact she has, Kiana James as her mouthpiece, why do we have to keep giving international talent mouthpieces? When her English isn't actually that bad. It's probably on the same level as Penta, and Penta's pretty good with his English. Why did he need a mouthpiece in AEW? I don't know. I'm not Tony Khan. I didn't put him with Alex Amarantez. That's just what happened there. But the US Championship itself, I don't care for. Like, the fact that Julia did an interview and was like, I would have felt like I'm being underappreciated or not achieved it if I don't get this belt on SummerSlam. Well, sorry, I guess your boss doesn't really care about you and doesn't feel your magnitude to go onto a SummerSlam card. It's just poor. Like, this title was with Chelsea Green and it felt more important than the IC for a while. And now the shifts have changed. Now people like the IC more than the United States. And that's the end of the day. The dynamics always shift within wrestling. One thing will be popular and the other thing won't. But I just don't think a championship should make somebody feel important and somebody should make a championship feel important. And I feel like we're not getting this from the United States Championship or Julia.
I hear you there 100%. Let's definitely, though, talk about something really quick here. Wrestling Republic's undercard. Subscribe to our second channel, Wrestling Republic Undercard, for exclusive videos, clips, and more. You're going to see sold separately. You're going to see Grappling for Position. You're going to see all kinds of shows over there. You're going to see also short form content in a way that you don't get to see it on the main channel. If you like our main content, make sure you go check that out. Thank you so much. But let's keep today's show rolling and let's talk really quickly about a match I'm excited to talk about. We've got Los Garza, the new AAA tag team champions, defending against Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown. Oh man.
Ignacio, go off. Go
We saw I like the ability of Psycho Clown and Iguana to capture the attention of a crowd. The entrance, all of it. The in-ring ability is there too. This match wasn't it at all, though. We had a few botches. We had some miscommunications. We had a pretty stale hot tag. I was frustrated because I know how cool it could be. Psycho Clown with the peel off on the mask. I loved Iguana and the Iguana, right? It's great, but man, this felt like there was a lot to be desired, at least in my eyes. And Ignacio, I got to ask you about it.
Well, I mean, the segment came out, and the first thing you see Santos Escobar with Angel and Humberto, and they looked really good. Like, they looked very impressive. Like, they look good. They look legitimate. They look like they belong in the WWE tag team division of years ago. I mean, they just looked impressive. They looked the part. And Santos Escobar, I think, looks well, feeling the part as the manager. And they're holding up the belts that don't matter, because, they're trying to introduce the fan base to AAA, try to get them more familiar with it, because obviously they have plans for it, right? Big plans. They want to try to incorporate it more in the shows. And that's great and all, but they look good. They look impressive. And I'm thinking, these are guys that should be in the TLC match. These guys should be the faces, maybe, of the tag team division. And they look good and everything, and they look impressive, and they look like they should be champions, and, they should be on the pay-per-view. And then out comes the Iguana Man with the stuffed animal in his mouth and the clown. And I'm just like, Christ almighty. Jeez. I mean, do we got to give these people TV time? Do we have to give this guy TV time? Because, yes, he talked about some mistakes in the matches, but I thought, for what it was, because these guys probably aren't very familiar with each other, because, yes, I know Angel and they wrestle the lucha style, but they probably haven't had matches together a lot. So they're trying to get familiar with each other. And I don't think they should have been necessarily, this should have been a match they should have had on TV if they're not familiar with each other. But I know Psycho Clown. Psycho Clown's a big star. He's a huge star in AAA in Mexico. I don't think this was a way to kind of introduce him on TV. I think it flopped. I think this was a waste of TV time. I think you can't take the match seriously, or any of these people seriously, when you got a guy dressed in green just like a freaking lizard on the mat with a stuffed animal in his mouth. And then I have people telling me, well, he's their Orange Cassidy. Like, that's supposed to make me like him even more. He's Triple A's Orange Cassidy. He's a freaking embarrassment. This guy doesn't deserve any TV time. Oh, he's going to sell a lot of merch. He's going to sell a lot of iguanas. Yeah, and then what? In a year from now, they're not going to care or know about him or remember him. He's not going to sell T-shirts or, materials for toys from 20 years from now, like Hulk Hogan is, like Steve Austin,
That's
The
fair.
Rock, or anybody else.
I will say,
This
I can see the fun in Iguana, but I hear your frustration. I completely understand where you're coming from, because I could see the fun in Iguana if I was a kid, right? As a kid, that is the only way. And I'm not even trying to start an argument on this, Ignacio, because I agree with so much of what you said, especially when it comes to the match last night, right? It underdelivered. It was not the way to bring in Psycho Clown necessarily. But at the same time, I also think Iguana is something. If you're 10 years old and watching this product, what he's doing with Laieska and the charisma, there is something to that, and we know he can work in the ring, and he's a veteran of the business. I do, where I think you made the most sense there is 100%. I don't think this was the way to introduce Psycho Clown to the WWE audience. That's where I'm like, this guy is a star with as many matches under his belt. I mean, I understand it's going to be fascinating. Now we've got a ring full of people for TLC, of course, as Tony just mentioned.
That's where I think the real losers are Angel and Humberto. They're the real losers in this, because they look like they can be a great tag team, and they got good synergy and they got a good manager, but it just seems like they're the ones who lost, because they should be in that match, which yesterday, Clark, once again, you're the only one yesterday who made any sense, because you had you and you had, Ben saying this is a great pay-per-view and this is going to be the greatest TLC match of all time. It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be an embarrassment, because you got too many bodies involved, teams that don't matter, teams that nobody cares about, right? So the guys that should be in the match aren't in the match, and I think they really lost out. And I think WWE's really losing on their tag division, because they're not focusing on people like this who could, be the face of their division, their company, and taking them seriously.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my biggest complaint out of yesterday, and I'll give you a second here, Soul, to it, but just the only issue I have with it, the bodies in the ring is a problem, but the real problem for me is, why not have more than one tag team match when you have more than one set of tag team titles? That throws me for a loop when you have two nights. And I just think it's sort of a knock on tag team wrestling, but I do want to give you just a few seconds before we get into the main event here.
SummerSlam is just odd, right? It's just odd, because it's what Ignacio said. Like, SummerSlam is one of their big four, right? And it's the first 2-night one, and it should feel special. The only thing really feeling special about it is that it's in AT&T Stadium. Like, it's going to look impressive.
Not AT&T, it's MetLife.
MetLife. Stadium, right? But here's what I'll say as well. This is to quickly compare AEW Forbidden Doors coming up, and I'm feeling meh about that, even as somebody who's going. But I think in the ring, it will be a stunning show. That's how I feel about SummerSlam. I think maybe in the ring, bell to bell, everyone on the card will smash it, and it will be remembered as a good in-ring show. But I know a lot of people in wrestling love stories, and the biggest story really going into this is Becky and Lyra with the IC, and maybe Cody and Cena. Like, I know.
Yeah, I would probably say Cody, Cena, but Becky Lyra's right there too. Other than that, though, it's bleak, as you mentioned.
Here's the thing, like, as well, for especially us in the UK, we have to stay up really late to enjoy these shows as well, and they're not really giving us that incentive. It doesn't feel like a PLE or a pay-per-view. It just feels like a glorified SmackDown or Raw that's been stretched out, because they don't feel special, sadly, anymore, because we've had so many. Like, if you go to a restaurant and you love steak, but you have steak every time you go to that restaurant, is it still special to you?
That's true. Sometimes you got to get the lobster. I'm with you there, but speaking of lobster, let's talk about this one. Because truthfully, man, I have never been more put my name on this. Orton and Jelly Roll stand tall over Logan and McIntyre. I love that this storyline has been built the way it's been built. Drew McIntyre is from Nashville. Now, yes, he's Scottish, just like you, so 100%. But he knows Jelly Roll and has for a long time. We have the right pairing in the ring to deliver something special. The one thing everyone talks about when it comes to Logan Paul is this. He goes viral. He's got that big following. If that is the end goal here, so does Jelly Roll. Ask him about a 39-year-old man winning Breakout Artist of the Year promo he cut basically at an awards show and the lexicon he's been inserted into. If this dude, who is a legitimate professional wrestling fan, who does care about what he's doing inside the ring and does care about the product, and he's proven it if you listen to his interviews, he, after losing 200 pounds, can climb to that top rope and hit a jelly splash on Logan Paul. It will be one of the most viewed moments in pro wrestling history. And like it or not, Ignacio, I know you're old school, and I'm gonna actually go to Soul first on this one because I know you have opinions.
Please do.
But Soul, I think this is a strike while the iron's hot thing. You have to give that spot because I just truly believe you're looking at one of the hottest musical artists going right now. You have Logan Paul, one of the most polarizing figures on the internet and in fame going. You have this chance. You have two future Hall of Famers in Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre in the ring to direct traffic. You gotta strike while the iron's hot and give us that moment. And I have a weird feeling. I said it earlier this week, and I'll repeat it one more time. I do not think it will be the match of the night, but I think it has the potential to steal the show. And I want to get your thoughts.
Look, I'll say this about Jerry Roll. I do love his music. I actually really, really, really enjoy his music. And I think the physical transformation that he's done is amazing. And he definitely has his heart into it. He's not like Travis Scott just showing up for a moment. He's there to actually put some work in. And I respect him for that. Logan Paul's a dick. I don't care about him. McIntyre, it's a bit of a shame that this guy was in a street fight at WrestleMania, which he won, to then losing that weird steel cage. And now he's in this, celebrity match. I just feel like it's a bit of a waste. He could be doing something else. Orton's Orton. He's a legend. He'll turn up and do anything. But I think what this match as well showcases is that it's a bit of a worrying thing. Because here's the thing. Orton will be there, maybe part-time schedule. McIntyre will be here for a long term. Paul's really on a part-time thing as well. Jerry Roll isn't going to be doing shows or house shows or anything like that. He's going to be there and possibly gone. But how long until we see something like the Paul brothers versus KSI and IShowSpeed or something like that? I generally think we're heading to that kind of direction. When you're putting these celebrity fans who are then told, here's a spot, do this, this, and that, go from A to C, D, and all that, and then have a passable match. Like, why? You have wrestlers who have trained for this their whole lives, who are really the professionals in all this and not getting on cards, and you're giving it to these influencers, celebrities, and I get it. It's a business move. Them appearing on the Kimmel or Fallon show got views, got people talking. I understand it from a business point of view. It's a smart business point of view. But to that essence of integrity within professional wrestling, it's near enough time we're going to see celebrity matches, at least one of them on each show, because there are just going into that glorification of celebrity culture. And it was needed back in the day with WrestleMania 1 with Mr. T and even WrestleMania 2. But then the business evolved and it showcases the talent that are actually going to be there that you're actually technically really paying to see. It's like what Kenny Omega said about, these guys, if you give them a beat-to-beat point, they can probably do something passable. But if you throw them in something long term, like a G1 or even a blood sport match, they're going to crumble. Because, yeah, you can go from beat to beat, but the endurance of being a professional wrestler is that you got to have that creativity on the fly. Things can go wrong. Things can change on the fly. And look, if we get an ISO Speed Logan Paul match for a WWE Championship, that's the day that this business is, taken back to being a joke.
And that's where I hear where you're coming from. I think for this one in particular, too, the only argument, there's a weird juxtaposition, though, right? Because if Jelly Roll and Logan Paul are able to provide one moment that brings in 50 million eyes, whatever it is, right, that goes ballistic, does that not benefit the rest of the roster, or does it? No. That's where things get weird, because I agree with you on like the worker's worker. I would understand if you're putting yourself in those shoes, that feeling, right? But at the same time, if it's gonna bring in more eyeballs, I just don't know if the proof is in the pudding or not necessarily. Now, I do want to give Ignacio time, then the three of us can break this down to end the show, because that's the only reason. So I'm like, you and I could probably talk about this for the rest of the show, and then I'd be like, shoot, Ignacio, it's your turn. But Ignacio, genuinely, I want your thoughts on it, because I can't fathom that they're very positive.
Not at all. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing for these professionals like Randy Orton and Logan Paul, who's an athlete. I don't have a problem with they bring in celebrities when it's, Jelly Roll isn't Mr. T. He's not Mike Tyson. He's not Lawrence Taylor. He's not Dennis Rodman. He's not Karl Malone. Well, you can transition a professional athlete into wrestling, and it's somewhat believable, but not an overweight country singer. And I don't particularly care for his music. I don't think he's a very good singer, although I haven't really listened to him that much. And everybody, well, listen to his story. Well, I don't care about his story. I don't want to watch his Netflix special or anything like that. I don't think he belongs in the wrestling environment. And then the other excuse that people say is, well, he'll bring his fans. His fans will watch the match. Well, his fans will watch the match, but branching off to what you guys are discussing is that they're not going to keep those fans. Those fans aren't going to start becoming wrestling fans. Like, if you're not a wrestling fan, for the most part, like 95% of the time, if you're not a wrestling fan, by the time you're 18, you're probably never going to be a wrestling fan. So when they do these celebrities, these spots like this, and they get more eyes on the product, that's great, but they don't keep those eyes. They don't keep those people that watch these celebrity matches just one time. Those fans don't watch Raw the next day. They don't watch SmackDown. They don't watch NXT. They don't go on WWE Shop and buy merch. So really, what's the point of this? It's like you say, how does it benefit the rest of the roster? It doesn't. It's just a spot, a match that becomes a spot for spot's sake to get temporary eyes on the product. This guy doesn't belong in this match. He doesn't belong in the wrestling in the WWE. I don't care how many days he's put on the Performance Center. It doesn't benefit the product. It doesn't benefit anybody involved. It's a waste of talent and a waste of TV time for these people. They should be doing other things that are productive to WWE in the product.
Ignacio is completely right. I mean, that's the thing at the end of the day. Look, he's right. I mean, look, if you get 50 million views on a reel that features Jerry Roll doing the splash, right? Cool, you got 50 million reels. Okay, out of those people, how many are going to watch the product? Let's say 10%. All right, okay, that's a good shot there. But how many of them are going to go to all these expensive meet and greets that wrestlers do? How many of them are going to go in WWE Shop and buy all these expensive title belts and everything's getting more expensive? How many of them are going to fork out $2,000 for tickets for future shows? How many of them are going to like? It's easy to just
Jelly Roll could fill MetLife himself.
Yeah, because he's Jelly Roll. He's not WWE superstar Jelly Roll. He's Jelly Roll the musician. Look, no one is going to care about this in 2 months. How many people are talking about, Travis Scott and all that from his appearance and him slapping Cody Rhodes with the hardcore championship that now was just what a replica.
There's a lot of money on those eyeballs. This is where I understand where both y'all are coming from, especially as lifelong wrestling fans, where it's like, oh no, this is a new guy coming in on our territory. But I actually do believe, especially when it comes to people like Jelly, people like Bad Bunny, who Angie Diva mentioned, people like Lawrence Taylor was mentioned earlier. Took it seriously, wrestled that match. The way I look at it is, it's modern wrestling. We're cool here. I think for sure that this match will shock people. I still believe that. I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking to my guns on it. But I will also say that's gonna bring us to the end of today's show. I appreciate everybody that tuned in, as always. Me, Ignacio, and Soul, thank you so much. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. We will talk to you soon. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. That's, of course, noon Pacific, 3 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock in the UK, and that's 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy SummerSlam both nights, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.